Good morning, good morning. It is night 3 of 3 for me. I'm Kimberly. I am a critical care and emergency department nurse, and I'm getting ready for work. So this is a get ready with me. I have been a nurse for 25 years and I'm still at the bedside, and I just want to share my experiences with you. I'm going to do a really quick get ready with me video and try to get this show moving tonight because I got to get to work and I am pressed for time. So this is probably going to be one of the shortest get ready with me because I got to hurry and do this. But I wanted to try to make a point to get on here and talk to everyone about a few things. Because we started talking on night 1 of 3 about different things you can do in nursing. Sorry, my brain is a little moving faster than I am right now. So things you can do in nursing when you start to feel burnout or you want to make a change, or if you're feeling like you want to leave the practice altogether, which happens all the time if you're a nurse. And if you've been a nurse for any length of time, I guarantee you will go through periods of burnout. Oh no, and I didn't put my mic on, so let me do that really quickly. Anyway, what I was saying is if you've been a nurse for any period of time, like there's going to come a point where you're going to feel some burnout, especially when we go through like seasonal issues. Right now, it is currently end of January. We are almost at February 1st, so we're heading into February. And the season has been a brutal one for things like flu, COVID, RSV. And if you're working at the bedside, you know. It has caused a huge influx in our admission rate. We are holding patients in the emergency departments. Things have been a bit hectic at work. I feel like you're not being supported. There's all these changes going on facility to facility. I don't care where you are. There is a lot going on in the world. We are barely 4 weeks into 2025 and we are all feeling a little overwhelmed, to say the least. So my point is, if you've been at the bedside for even a minute, you're going to feel some burnout at some point. What can you do to combat that? Well, one, I always say, like, take care of yourself. You've got to take care of yourself no matter what you do. Like, set yourself up for success as far as feeling good, looking good, taking care of your nutrition, making sure you're getting physical activity, not spending too much time online, social media, everything else, where you're having that constant toxic diet of things being fed to you about all the tragic things going on in the world. And that's not to say don't be informed and don't pay attention. I'm just saying that taking care of yourself can sometimes mean taking a break from things like the constant influx of news and headlines that can cause you to feel overwhelmed. That said, I'm not getting into that. My channel is not a political channel. I don't get into all of the events that are going on. At this current time, I don't. I want this to be a more upbeat momentum video where we talk about things that you can do if you're feeling burnout in your current area of practice. Because, you do hard things. You've done hard things. You have become a nurse. And I'm telling you, if you have gotten through nursing school and all the tests and all the stress of getting through clinicals and having, those moments where you're feeling like you're not the smartest in the room, which when you're a new nurse, you don't. You feel like you're the dumbest person in the room. And that's just learning the practice. And I'd always hate putting my makeup on down here because it starts jiggling my voice box when I talk and it's hard to get through that part of the video, but it is what it is. So what do you do when you are feeling like you just are burnout and you don't want to do this anymore? Well, if you've been a nurse for a few minutes and you've gotten your time in as far as, your first 2 years at the bedside, and I'm not saying that's the only ticket, the only way to get where you want to be, but this, is talking about bedside nursing and clinical care. If you have gotten your time in and you're ready to do a travel contract, just be aware the travel contracts right now are not all that. There are some decent ones out there, but there is a lot to be said about the fact that travel nursing and contract nursing, PRN nursing, is going through a bit of a slump right now. And what goes up goes down, what goes down goes up, and eventually it comes around again. And I've seen this happen many, many times in my career where things go up and down with pay rates and all that. And I talked about that in a previous video. So there are a lot of avenues in nursing that you can go into, and I covered the other day how I went from critical care to a PACU contract to going back to my home ER, and then prior to going and starting at my home ER, I took a travel, I wouldn't even call it, I guess it was a travel contract. I did a stint at a kids camp, which was wonderful, terrible, all the things in between. And I've decided I'm going to do a whole series on camp nursing because that's a whole thing in itself. But there's things like camp nursing, opening yourself up to things that you might not even know are out there. There is concierge nursing. There are things like working on yachts as a personal nurse. The camp circuit opened me up to understanding that there's a whole nother world out there that's actually very tightly knit and connected. And once you get your foot in the door, you start having other opportunities open up where they request you for certain things. You meet families. Like I met families through camp nursing where I was asked to do some private nursing for people who, needed a nurse to do certain things. I could not do, like I had been asked to do a couple weeks on a super yacht with someone who was, very wealthy and, was in the later years in his life and wanted to be on his yacht, but he needed a nurse to handle some of his medical needs. I was asked to do that, but it was not lining up with my time frames, and I just couldn't pack up my kid and go on a yacht for 3-4 weeks at a time. I had to go home. I owned my home. I had 2 kids and a dog. I was a single mother, and I needed to, start building my life and my, next job, which was in the ER. My point is when you keep your eyes open, when you start paying attention to all that's going on out there and you start networking, which I'm going to tell you, networking is one of the most profound things you can do for yourself in this job. Networking and talking to people, getting to know other managers, getting to know other people. LinkedIn was really big for a long time. It's still a big avenue for career things, but there's just so much garbage that has flooded LinkedIn as of late that, I'm a little disconcerted with LinkedIn. I had I just got bronzer in my hair. My hair is wet right now and I'm literally running so late. And I had to do an everything shower. My hair was all feeling greasy and I wasn't going to wash today, but sometimes you just got to do it. So I've got wet hair. I got to hurry up and get ready so I can dry it. And I'm going to keep the show moving so I can get out the door because I'm running out of time. So anyway, my point, what I was getting back to was networking and keeping in touch with what's going on around you, opening yourself up to opportunities. If you're asked, if someone asks you to float to another unit doing, it might be scary, but hey, yeah, do it. If you can, open yourself up to something different just for one shift, come on, you can do anything for 12 hours. You've done a lot more than that. I guarantee you've done harder things than a 12-hour shift floating to some other unit. Be careful about getting into a unit where it's out of your scope. And if it's not your scope of practice, you got to be really careful because you need to be able to be prepared to work on those units. This is one of the reasons I am not going to get into the political part of working when people do these contracts for strike nursing. I caution people against that because strike nursing can be a very scary thing and it can put your license in big trouble if you are going to units that you are not trained in. Don't be fooled and think that a unit or a administration of a hospital is going to set you up for success. They're going to throw you into things where ratios are just a nil and you're going to have to be prepared to do about anything. And if you're not trained in ICU per se or maternal child health and you get put in a NICU or something else, you're putting your license on the line. So I do caution against doing those kinds of things until you are very ready. And even that, I just think it can be very dangerous to do that, not just for the patients, but for your own practice. And we want to do what we can to always take the best care of our patients, give them our best, put our best foot forward and make sure that we are well trained to take care of their specific needs at their given time that they need us. So that said, what else can you do besides, say, med-surg? Well, there are different classes, education, people who own businesses that do CPR training, ACLS, BLS, those kind of things. If you're trained in those things and they need instructors or people to proctor exams, that's another option you can moonlight and do on the side. Home health, hospice. I know they can be big, scary things. If you're looking at the home health and hospice thing, I would say, follow Nurse Penny. I watch her all the time on YouTube and on the socials, and she is phenomenal. and gives a lot of insight to a area of practice that she's very passionate about. And so there's things like home health and hospice. There are things like, I'm just like coming off the top of my head. You can moonlight and do, hold on one second. Problem with my eye. Yeah, there's educational opportunities. There's concierge nursing. There's IV therapy nursing. That's like a really big one right now. And be cautious with those too. If they're asking you for money to buy all of your own supplies, it might be a scam. So just be very, very aware of those kinds of things. And I need a sip of my coffee. I can't tell you how many people I know who've done that. I was looking over a contract somebody was showing me that they were going to do with the IV therapy thing. And they had to pay like $900 for all of their own bags and all their own supplies. And then they were going to get these referrals to do it through this website and blah, blah, blah. And then the referrals kind of never came and the website fell flat. And then they were left holding the bag on like $900 worth of supplies, and they were not getting sent anywhere to do any of the things that they were promised as far as contracts for IV therapy. So you can get in with someone where they actually have a place set up. I don't know. I'm just going to say that can be an option. I don't know that it's going to be a full-time gig option for you right off the bat. So sometimes you have to build a clientele base before you do things like that. But again, I'm going to go back to this thing where I said, like, don't just walk away from bedside and think that if you haven't gotten your 2 years in, you're going to be able to write a ticket anywhere. I promise you, these contract companies, as far as travel companies, they are very strict about you having that 2 years to the day at the bedside before they will place you in a contract. So I know it can be hard to, you might be 18 months in and being like, oh my God, I just got to get out of here. If it's a decent place and you can tolerate it, I'm going to say just stick it out. It does look better if you're not job hopping. It does look better if you can get referrals from your current employer where they give you, because they have people rate you. I do some leadership and charge nurse stuff at my current job, and I've had people leave and then go to travel nurse companies and then ask me to give them their referrals. And I've seen what the referrals look like that are going out from these travel companies, and they are very in-depth. I think the last one I did was 12 pages. I would call pages because if you did it in PDF, it came out to 12 pages. But it was a lot of questionnaire about the nurse, their skills, what they do, what kind of patient population that we see. Felt like it was a lot more info than it probably should be. And you have to answer all the questions or you can't proceed on to the next page. And I didn't love it. I went ahead and did it. And not all of the skills that were listed on that questionnaire were things that we currently do in our unit. So you have to answer honestly too. I'm not going to put my name on something and lie about it. So you've got to make sure that you've got some people lined up too at your current job to help you out with those references, referral checks, letters of recommendation. And that's why, again, where I came back to what I said on one of my previous videos is get those letters of recommendation. Do not be afraid to toot your own horn. You have to do it. You have to sell yourself out there. And for some reason, there is this psychological component in a lot of nurses, and I think it's just the altruistic means of how we are as people, where we're helpers and we are the, facilitators of care for other people. And we're not always great about caring for ourselves. We're not always great about pumping ourselves up and tooting our own horn. And I know that tooting the own horn, I don't even know why I keep saying that, but, you've got to make sure that you come to terms with that and find a way to sit down with your resume and learn how to build your profile. And don't be afraid to talk about how great you are or ask other people to talk about how great you are, because I guarantee you, you're fabulous. You're great. And you need to sometimes have that reality check. And I always say that, sitting down and doing your resume and applying for jobs is really freaking tough. But it can be a really good exercise in looking at all of your accomplishments and telling, kind of coming to terms with yourself and saying, like, I'm a good nurse. I have a lot of skills. I have accomplished so much. And sometimes you can walk away from that experience looking at your resume and doing the building and being like, you know what? I'm the shit. So you need to be ready and willing to do that. So this video has to be incredibly short. I have to get going. I'm going to try to get my eyeliner on and just do this. I'm going to give myself like less than 2 minutes because I gotta get out the door. This is freaking terrible. And I hope this video translates well once it's done, but I'm feeling like it's going to fall short. And I apologize for that. I'm on night 3 of 3. Your brain starts to go into like shorting out at this point. And I'm tired and I'm just ready to get through the last 12. I'm kind of like committed all in on at this point to just do this and get through it, and then I will have a couple days for some downtime. But I'm also committed to doing some videos and getting some content out there because I really want to start being a voice for nursing on YouTube and maybe some of the other socials. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this, but I started my YouTube journey back in 21 or 22? 22. And then I got hired at my current job, and my current job had a lot of restrictions about what I can and can't do on my private time. And I know that sounds really weird. When you get into certain sectors of jobs, there are things that your employer can tell you you are and are not allowed to do. And I really needed to feel out what was going to be okay, what I can talk about and what I cannot talk about. And there are things I cannot talk about. And I guarantee you most hospitals these days have strict policies about what you can and can't do. Sorry, I'm trying to not arf up my eyeliner, and no guarantees here either. Hold on. So, I had to reevaluate what I was doing with this channel. Yeah, I had to reevaluate how I was going to go about what my message and how I wanted to do it. I also had started reporting on current events, which some of them were a little more, I'm going to say toxic in nature, things about strikes and stuff that was going on in nursing. And after doing it for only a couple weeks where I just saw all this like negativity, and I'm not all about any toxic positivity either. I'm about spreading a message that I know needs to be talked about, and I have something to say, and I've been a nurse for a very long time, and I would like to share with you a lot of my experiences because as nurses, we don't always do that. We're afraid to even put ourselves out there to talk about things. But yeah, my current job, there's things I can't talk about. And at some point, I will probably do some videos about my current job, the hiring process, the grueling like stuff I went through to get hired and, stay hired at this point because things are ever changing. And I would like to be here as long as possible because I do love my current job. I have my moments where I am freaking done. Last night I was feeling that way because it was just, we were a little overwhelmed and had a lot going on. And I just felt like sometimes it's just hard. And I do love my job, though. I love my patient population. I appreciate, and I think that sometimes focusing on gratitude is really, really important. Like being grateful for what you have, the job you have, and shifting our focus off of all the things it's not is really important. I was listening to a very young coworker of mine last night. Clearly burnt out, needs to move on. I know she knows that too. But she, every single night, it is the constant droning on about how much she hates it. And that in and of itself can be really, really consuming, mentally, physically. It can do things to your whole psyche and it's not healthy. And that is the time that you probably need to start thinking about moving on. But I was making some tough choices, even myself, and listening to other people talk about their frustrations last night, to personally think about gratitude and what I have and how grateful I am to be doing what I am doing, and to try to remember to put those efforts towards, giving all that I can to my patients and making sure that they get good care, even if I can't control the greater sphere of what's happening out in the world. I can control what happens right here in this moment. I can control these interactions between you and I, as far as you, my patient, and me, your nurse. I can make this experience better in these 5 minutes. And sometimes that's what we have to do. Don't look hour by hour, week by week, minute by minute if you have to, and just be grateful for the moment that you have. Your paycheck, your things that your job does fund in your life. I want to get more into all the things that we can do as nurses as far as other avenues. I can't do it tonight. I am going to have to get going. I got to dry this hair and I got to get on the road. I'm running a little bit late tonight. But again, I am Kimberly. I am going into the ER tonight, and I just want to say thank you for listening, and I will see you on the flip side.